Welcome to Center Cup. I'm Kyle Muserino, joined as always by Will Neary and Nick Newmeyer, and we've got a preview day today, and not only preview day, a major preview day. We've got the PGA Championship coming this week, so let's not stall any longer. Let's dive right in. Will, hit us with some tournament notes and some storylines that you're looking at this week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the course and everything. Hopefully, you all tuned into my lovely course preview. But if not, we'll get to that in a second to touch on some of the higher stuff of that. But very broadly, second major of the year, first one at Aronimink since I believe 1962, which is when Gary Player got his. I believe at the time it was his third major championship. But I think the real thing here for me when I think about the PGA Championship is really going to, like, for the foreseeable future at least, going to be what does this major represent? Like, is it? I know this isn't even. I'm not trying to have a is it a major conversation? Should it be a major? Because we've already had that once, and I think it's we end up talking ourselves in circles, being like, well, it is by status officially, but it doesn't. Whatever. We can talk about that all day. But I think to me, I'm more like I think it's a major, obviously, but I think the question I've been asking myself is like, where do I stack it up in terms of if I see it on somebody's resume? Like if I had two resumes that were otherwise exactly the same, and one person has a PGA championship and another has a players championship, like what impresses me more, right? Because like I feel like nobody would dispute the fact that a Masters is on its own tier, and then like U.S. Open and Open championships are right behind it. To me, there's a pretty sizable gap there between them and a Players Championship and a PGA Championship, excuse me. Especially recently, I think Valhalla left a pretty bad taste in our mouths, which because that was Birdie Fest. Andrew Schauffele won that at 21 under. I think Quail Hollow wasn't nearly as bad last year. I'm curious to see what we get this year. I think one of the notes I'll have is that it really depends on the rough. Like if it doesn't really sound like they've grown the rough up a ton, which means this could be a little bit of a bomber's paradise, but in general, that's going to be the thought that I have as I watch this weekend is like, are we going to get a PGA championship where, a good score is going to be 68, 67, or are we going to get a PGA championship where we're, tracking 63s out on Thursday and Friday and seeing some guys roll in with some really low numbers in a birdie fest kind of tournament. So that's kind of what comes to mind for me. I don't know if you guys agree or if you think I'm just trying to rehash. I don't want to rehash the is it a major conversation because that never goes well, but it is interesting at least to track.
Well, it's not necessarily is it a major, but I
Yeah.
think what it really comes down to is that every major has a sort of course identity that you don't necessarily find at the PGA. Like, the Open Championship is links. The Masters is just Augusta, and we've come to love that over the years. And the US Open is just a literal hell that is designed to
Yeah. How hard?
physically and mentally destroy you. And the PGA, like it's almost like a mix of all three, which sounds great in theory, but really just doesn't really make it anything interesting. I think the whole idea of the rotating course doesn't really fit as much as it does with the US Open. So I'm not really, this is the one where I think rightly so falls behind on a lot of people's major tiers. And so I don't know. I don't want to bring this into a giant conversation of like what does the PGA Championship stand for? Like we said, we've had these conversations before, but yeah, it's weird. You don't necessarily like, at least in terms of the US Open, you know what to expect with the course. You know it's going to be demeaning, but like you said with the PGA, like we saw with Xander, it was a birdie fest. Sometimes it's a bomber's paradise. Sometimes it's more of a putter's game. Sometimes it's more of an approach play. Like the approach varies for year to year, so it's really hard to establish a sort of course identity and what to expect.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. You mentioned it, and I hadn't really thought of it that way exactly, but it really does feel like it doesn't have an identity, which I think is exactly what you're just like it. Even if just looking at the past winners and even the past courses, like I mean, the U.S. Open, obviously, we have a rotation of, I don't know, probably like, what is it, 6 or 7 consistent courses. And then I'm sorry for the 6, 7 there, but 6 or 7 consistent courses. And then, occasionally they switch one in. But looking back at the last few for the PGA, obviously Quail last year, Valhalla, Oak Hill, Southern Hills, Kiowa Ocean Course, TPC Harding Park, Bethpage Black, Bell Reeve, Quail Hollow again, Baltusrol, Whistling Straits, Valhalla again. There's not a ton of repetition at Atlanta Athletic Club in 2011. It's like there's repetition, but it's not consistent. I agree. I think there's not much of an identity because you do like honestly, I don't know that I even mind necessarily if like you said, the US Open is a hellhole. It's meant to make it as hard as possible. The Open is like its own special, like it's link style typically, and it's obviously overseas, which is like brings its own character into play. The Masters is the Masters. And then the PGA is kind of just lost in the middle of it's something, I guess. I think that's probably, the tough thing for the PGA is it's inconsistent in terms of what it presents, and that makes it a little tougher to identify with sometimes. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be a great tournament because I think it will be.
Damn, way to sell it.
I know, right?
I mean, geez.
Wait till I start talking
Is that
about
Will
it.
Neary or Scott O'Neill?
It's not going to get any better.
Goodness gracious. I'm going to go with the comparison is the thief of joy phrase here.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to choose to enjoy this course this week.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
a
fact
major
that we have
but
major.
Times ahead. Let's focus on the good
Thank
times
you.
we're about to have.
Come
It's the
on.
second major championship of the year. Like I was saying, it's going to be fun. Aronimink is not one that I was familiar with before doing that deep dive, and it was interesting to say the least to get in there. I'm not going to. It wasn't my favorite course in the world to look through, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see how it presents because it's one thing to like flip through it, and then it's another thing to have people play golf on it. Like I'm like looking at overhead shots and trying to read up on it as much as I can, but it's a totally different thing when you see people play golf on it. For a brief overview for anybody that missed it, when we did that preview on Saturday, it is a par 70, which I think I'm pretty adamantly against personally in terms of that being a major championship venue. Like 2 par 5s. I think the tough thing is the credit I will give Aronimink is that it does end with a pretty interesting stretch, and I do want to start there because that is an interesting, like a good thing. And I think that's what I don't love about not having many par 5s is it decreases the potential for drama in some ways, but there is drama down the stretch here. You have a short par 4 that they'll make drivable on hole 13. Maybe that'll be drivable on Saturday and Sunday. I would assume one of the two. Maybe it's like 330 and kind of drivable one of those days too. I don't know exactly how that'll set up. Hole 14 is a solid par 3. Hole 15 is a 550-yard par 4, followed by a 550-yard par 5, which will be interesting. Obviously, these numbers are scorecard. It's like they're going to vary day to day. This could change. But and then hole 17, long par 4 with water. A long par 3 with water, sorry, not a par 4. And then hole 18 is a tough par 4 that played as one of the hardest holes in 2018 when it held the BMW Championship. So there is stuff. There is fun. There is fun down the stretch. It'll be a good time. I'm a little worried. Like, again, I know, Kyle, you want to have fun. So let me get this out of the way now because I did have a gripe or two with this course as I was flipping through it. I'm a little worried about monotony in some of these holes. Like, it felt very, very similar. Like, again, this is just looking at overhead shots, looking at T-balls, looking at videos. But there's a lot of, it starts with 4 par 4s on the front, and they're all between 413 yards and 416 yards. It starts with 4 par 4s on the back, and the first 3 of those are between 425 yards and 475 yards. And they tend to be, this is not the case for all of them. There are a couple good holes. You should go listen to my podcast on Saturday if you want the full hole by hole here. But there's a lot of straightaway par 4s with bunkering that jut in on each side that's meant to induce landing zones into a big, difficult green with bunkers splitting the front of the green so that it's a pretty skinny entrance, which is fine. I don't necessarily dislike that hole structure. It just like it was kind of like, you get to the 4th hole and you're like, oh, again, okay, got it. This is what we're doing. But that being said, that's going to be my gripe for the day. I'm done complaining. This is going to be a hell of a lot of fun. It's a PGA Championship, people. Jordan Spieth is chasing his career Grand Slam.
At least someone's excited about it.
Abbreviated chase, but he's going to give it some effort, hopefully. But yeah, I don't want to, hog the mic too much here. I don't know what you guys have anything to add to that, but yeah, I'm done. I'm done complaining now. I promise.
Yeah, let's just have fun.
So yeah, you mentioned it last time this course was played on the PGA Tour was the 2018 BMW Championship, in which Keegan Bradley won. So it has been a while, which is interesting. I think that that plays some kind of interest. It's not unlike what we saw with the Blue Monster, which hadn't been played in a long time too. So there is some intrigue there to see how the course plays. Scotty won the PGA last year at Quail Hollow, like you said, Xander before that, and then of course Brooks and Justin Thomas. And look at that in 2021, Phil Mickelson.
I know.
It's always cool
Ridiculous.
to see.
Do I have it here? I think I do. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
From-
Yeah,
man.
I should have won my polo from the ocean course. I should have done that.
That was a fun one to watch. It was a weird one, but was there. Did get to the only major I've ever been to. Did get to watch Phil walk away with that one. At whatever was he 51 at the time? I think. Oldest
Still
major
insane.
champion in history. Ridiculous. But yeah, sorry, Kyle, cut you off. I just wanted to
that was beautiful. That was for you to be there is actually pretty awesome. That's like where were you kind of moment for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of what we do know about the course, what are some of the things we're looking at in terms of course fit guys that play or should play theoretically this course well?
Yeah, like you said, it's a little tougher when you don't have the historical precedent outside of like 2018. I mean, like you said, same as Blue Monster. When we look back at that stuff and look back at who's played here well in the past, it's like, oh, surprise, it's the guys who were playing then. It's Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, are guys that have specifically good course history here. In terms of what seems to be like important, and this is kind of the third week in a row that we've said this, but it seems like there's going to be an outsized emphasis on putting, and that makes sense when you preview it. These greens are huge and they are very undulating. It's going to be one of those courses, especially if you look at a couple of the par threes, but kind of all the holes, honestly. 3-putt avoidance is going to be huge, and that's something that's been talked about a lot this week, and rightfully so. You're going to have, if you miss on the wrong side of greens, you are going to have putts with feet and feet of break, up, down, left, right, like all directions. It's going to be really tough to nestle. It's going to test these guys' abilities to 3-putt when or 2-putt when they need to, and avoid 3 putts at all costs. And obviously, in the same vein with undulating greens, birdie putts are going to be tough as well. But I think really it's going to be, when it's the same as like missing in a bunker. It's like, are you going to be able to get your putt within that, friendly circle of 3 or 4 feet where you feel pretty confident? Because if you're sitting with a lot of 6 or 7 foot par putts, it's going to be a long day and a long tournament for you. So that'll play a big role. If you look at approach play, again, we're looking at 2018 and they have lengthened a couple of these holes. So that is worth noting. But generally the approach play was pretty concentrated towards like short irons, like within 150 yards typically. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, these holes, like I said, a lot of the par fours here are in that the 16th hole is 550 yards, and I believe it is the longest par 4 by over 50 yards. So everything else is around 490 or less, which means for these guys, a lot of 320-yard drives and 150 to 100, like 130 to 170 yards in, pretty much. So lots of pitching wedges, 9-irons, sand wedges, lob wedges, whatever, finding their way into these greens. So that'll be important. There was a quote from Rory today. I think it was today at his presser where he said, strategy off the tee is pretty non-existent. It's basically bash driver down there and then figure it out from there. I'm not sure it's going to test all aspects of your bag, which makes me think the rough isn't particularly grown up, and that's just like, because I think the question mark I had previewing this is if they grow the rough up a ton and accuracy off the tee matters, that'll be interesting. That quote from Rory and videos I've seen on the ground so far doesn't seem super penalizing. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe when they get on the ground, it's like really dense and lies are unpredictable, whatever. But it seems like it's going to be mostly focused on distance, and then you're going to have a lot of those shorter clubs in for the guys that do hit it pretty far. But yeah, Rory also mentioned there's been a decent amount of tree removal, which lends to that same thing. You're not super penalized for inaccuracy off the tee. But yeah, so to put a very, very long-winded little diatribe there, just putting, short irons and wedges, and it seems like distance off the tee will be a benefit here, as it always is, to be honest, in modern golf.
Yeah, Nick, what'd you make of Rory's comments?
It was a little disappointing, to be honest. I think not from Rory, but just in the sense of like okay, like it's a bit disappointed to not have a challenging major in that sense. Like it almost seems like we're maybe a bit more destined towards a birdie fest. I was reading like I think someone had mentioned that if if there's a bit of rain, which I haven't checked the forecast, but if there is rain forecasted, we could be in for some really low numbers.
I
Which
think I saw rain maybe tomorrow, or not tomorrow. Sorry. I think tomorrow too, but I think maybe into Thursday. But that was a forecast from a couple days ago. I'd have to double check, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think if there's rain, this course could get really scoreable, which is a bit disappointing. But at the same time, I also kind of enjoy. I'm a sicko. I do enjoy birdie fests. Like they are kind of fun just to see players like really use all of their talent because for as much as they say birdie fest and players just score, if you put me on that course, I'm not scoring those numbers. And so I think just to see those players do what they do, I think it's very entertaining. But yeah, every time I think of a major and I think of the rough not being a factor, even the rough is being a factor, I always look back to Bryson at Winged Foot, where his strategy was just everybody is missing the fairway. Why don't I miss the fairway 30 yards further up and just like rip driver every single hole, strategy be damned, and just try to get yourself a little bit more distance. And so I definitely think that if the rough isn't going to be as penalizing, I definitely think we're going to see stuff like that from a bomber standpoint.
Yeah, it doesn't. On first glance, I pulled up. This is from 2 days ago. The weather forecast from 2 days ago showed scattered showers with isolated lightning, 45% of rain on Wednesday, and that's 25% on Thursday, and 15% Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And some pretty decent weather, like mid 60s, mid 70s. Saturday and Sunday are supposed to actually be gorgeous, it looks like. So maybe
Sunday's
it'll
gonna be hot.
Yeah, well, here it is, and there too. It's a high of 82 in Newtown Square.
I'm seeing
Um,
87 on Sunday.
oh, really? Okay, maybe that. I mean, again, this is from 2 days ago, so you probably have the more accurate stuff. So
I'm just on Google
that'll
right
help
now.
it.
So
Yeah, if it does rain, then maybe it'll dry out pretty quick, and we'll be able to get some harder greens. Because again, I think that's going to be the real test here. So, like you were saying, like if the rough is penalizing a little bit and guys can't get spin out of the rough, that's when those like bunkers in front of the greens can help make it a little bit more difficult to get the ball to stop where you want it to, especially if pins are front. And then also, yeah, if it dries out a little bit and the greens are firm, it's going to be put even more of an emphasis on your putting and your around the green play to get those to make par, because I don't think it's going to be necessarily easy if those greens are playing hard. But then again, like you said, Nick, these guys are a little bit better than you and me. Small margins, really, like just barely by a
not
couple
by
of
much, yeah.
here and there. No, but
Like to quote somebody else in the field, like if I had the distance of Rory McIlroy, like I'd be a multi-time PGA Tour winner.
yeah, it's pretty true, to be honest with you.
Which before we did you guys see the interview he gave the other day, Michael Block, where he's like, God, I got so sick of myself so quickly. Like just seeing like my name. He's like, I've seen that goddamn hole in one so many times.
Oh,
Like I never want to see it again.
I was going to ask you guys, how old do you think? Because I know we did this, or I was
dear
texting you a
God.
couple of these the other day. Because so I was going through players doing tiers, and we were initially thinking about doing tiers for this draft we're about to do based on some age stuff. First of all, finding out that Sung JM was 28 ruined my entire day. But also, just some of these guys were a lot older than I thought they would be, and Michael Block, for some reason, is a lot older than I thought he was. I don't think I'm actually that surprised now that I've sat with it, but I'm curious to hear what how old do you guys think Michael Block is?
I'm gonna say 48.
No, he's in his 50s. He's got like a son my age. I
Okay.
think.
You guys are not having as much fun with this as I thought you'd be because he's 49. But for some reason, I was just surprised. For some reason, that surprised me. But you're right, Kyle. He does have his son that is like probably early 20s. So I guess that
think
makes a little
so.
sense.
Pooty cuts?
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But no, it was weird going through some of these ages. It's funny how old the guys that are like, because whenever you see like a rookie on the PGA Tour or a guy who's like starting to play really well for the first time, I'm like, he's got to be like early 20s, right? Like I think Austin Smotherman was a guy who stood out to me like that, who had started this season pretty well, and I kind of figured he was a pretty young talent, and he is a young talent, but he's just about to be 32 years old next month.
I can't believe Ricky Fowler's 37.
Yeah, it's
a lot of young and talented people
JM.
about to turn 32. Lots of young and talented people about to turn 32.
Some present, some not. You know, we don't need to disclose our ages. It's fine. With that, I don't know. Should we get into the pick? We're 20 minutes in here, and this picks game might run we're going to talk about a lot of fellas.
Let's do it. We're going to end up talking about basically everyone in the field as we go through this, as we inevitably always do. So let's get going.
All right.
Give the people what they want.
The way we're going to do this, and it's the same thing we did on for the Masters, with a little bit of a different tiers, structures, groups, whatever you want to call it. We are going to spin a wheel, which I'll pop up on the screen in a second, so nobody thinks I'm cheating, because occasionally I get blamed of things like that, which is outlandish, but whatever. And then we'll start with the favorites. You'll see on the screen, and we'll talk through it, like a set of guys, from zero. From odds below plus 3,000, I think is where we settled with that. And we'll each pick one. We'll do it snake style. So first round, we'll go one direction. Second round, we'll go back, and all the way until we fill out our teams. We're going to have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers here. And we're going to get right into it. And it should be a lot of fun. It'll give us an excuse to talk through pretty much everybody in the field, though hopefully we won't actually hit every single name, because that could be moderately disastrous. But we are going to spin this wheel here. So this will be the first pick of the favorites. So whoever this lands on, let's see. Okay, that makes me feel better, Nick. You get it after we do the test run, and it's still you. So Nick will get the first pick there. All right. I'm sorry, Kyle.
Oh, this is...
Well, there we go. It's going to be Nick, Will, Kyle to start us off.
No one likes a complainer, Kyle.
I swear I picked last in the Masters too. You guys are conspiring against me because I'm kicking your ass.
And yet you always find a way to win.
God,
yeah,
I'll do it again.
It's handicapping, dude. It's not even cheating. It's just the nature.
You need the help.
Handicapping you.
That's fair.
But yeah, so we'll get into. I guess we'll start right now with the favorites, and we can read through. Some of these groups are going to get too long, but the favorites is a pretty small group here. You can see their little faces if you're watching on YouTube or on X. Down on the bottom right here, but it is Scotty Scheffler, who is your favorite, and then Rory McIlroy is next. Let me get to the right spot. Yeah, so Scotty's at plus 385, Rory's at plus 910, and you got John Rahm, which is ridiculous. We can have another conversation about that he's got better odds to win than Cam Young does, which is Cam Young's next at plus 1650, Bryson DeChambeau, Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Tommy Fleetwood round out our favorites group. Nick, you might have a gripe with Matt Fitzpatrick having like the 8th best odds on this entire board. I don't know, but we can have that conversation after we make our picks here and talk about why we didn't pick some of the other guys. But why don't you get us started and take your pick here?
Honestly, I felt kind of sick picking Matt Fitzpatrick last week at the Truist, just because he was such a favorite that I really just felt guilty about it. And so I hate that I'm being forced to pick a favorite. That being said, I really don't understand how you can't pick this guy, and that would be the person who everybody thought was going to complete the Tiger Slam until he got slammed on the hood of a car last year. And that would be Mr. Scotty Scheffler himself.
I like that. Sorry, yeah, Scotty Scheffler is the pick. That's the right choice. After we kind of
that was last year, right? Was that last year or 2 years ago?
I think that was last year. No, early last year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 2 years ago, actually. Either way, it happened. But after we kind of omitted him at the Masters, we needed to get this one out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. There's no. I would be remiss if I did not pick Scotty Scheffler with the first pick in a major. Like we've been saying for the entire month that he's due, and especially seeing how close he came at the Masters and at the RBC, I think it's only a matter of time before he pulls it together, and you want to be on the right side of history for this one.
It's the right pick. There was no other direction to go. He's played 6 PGA championships. PGA championships. Sorry, he's been top 10 at 5 of them, including the win last year, T2 in 2023. That we can go through. Obviously, one of the best players from every distance with every club in his hand. The approach play has been the one thing that slipped a little bit this year, but even so, it's still still pretty good. So I'm not too worried. I wouldn't go any other direction than what you did, Nick. 3 straight consecutive solo second finishes, never done before. Hopefully breaks that streak, but
No, it's been done before.
3 straight solo seconds? I don't think it has.
I think Sergio did it in like
2014.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
really?
right.
Okay.
That's the last time.
Good work, boys. Thank you. I was actually just testing you. I knew that. It was just we were
exactly
throwing a question out there to make sure you guys were on your toes today. Just throw that one out there early. Okay, well that means my turn.
Hand up. Yeah, I feel terrible about it, but we're gonna go Scotty. Hand up.
No, you should feel great about it. It's the right pick. He was top of my board. I would have done it if I had gotten that first pick. I'm sure Kyle would have done the same. Maybe, I don't know. He's got a sneaky one.
It's irresponsible not to.
Yeah, it's a fiduciary responsibility for us
it's
to.
It's the exact same choice I was left with fantasy, and Will keeps hiding from us, but I like to think that I'm doing pretty well with that.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna.
Talk about that.
A lot of other stuff to take care of these days, fellas.
Yeah.
But all right, this is tough. I'll talk you. I won't talk you through why I'm leaving a couple guys off here now, but I am going back to the well here, and I think Kyle's going to be happy I picked this guy because it's going to probably leave him who he wants. I'm going to go Ludwig. Which,
oh my God, you can't quit. You can't quit that guy.
Okay. So I'll tell you why Ludwig, and then I'll let you pick, and then we can talk through why I left a couple guys off because I feel like there's nobody to me other than like Scotty who I'm not asking questions about. Like, there's nobody that feels like a slam dunk outside of Scotty, to be honest. I feel like, you could argue Rory, but I have reasons to argue against it. But look, top 10 in 5 of his last 6 starts. He has missed the cut at both of the 2 PGA Championships he's played, but that doesn't matter, right? That's not important. Different courses. And, like I said, he's been playing really well. There's a reason I picked him last week. He finished T8. I'm not mad at it. He's pretty good at everything. He's really handsome. He's got that going for him. And obviously that plays a huge factor at events like this. So,
of course,
we're going with it. We're going with the big Swede, Ludwig Oberg.
That's a really good point that you made. That yes, he's missed the cut, but it was also at a different course, and so that's why I don't think course history, if it was the U.S. Open, that would make a difference for me. But because these courses vary from year to year, it's so hard to pick based off of previous year's history at the PGA, and it's almost meaningless. You almost have to treat it as like this is a year to year thing.
Yeah, exactly. And he's had good performances at other major championships, so it's clearly not like a major championship thing, although you could argue he could have had better performances at Augusta 2 of the last 3 years. But that being said, he's going to be the pick. I'm not too worried about that course history, like you said, Nick. Totally different places. It was a Quail Hollow last year, all over the place. So not worth considering too much, at least.
Yeah, that's just an insane pick. But one of these days you'll be right.
One of these
times you'll be right about him. You keep picking him, so he'll have to do it one of these days. I just know you couldn't stand watching him win and you not having picked him. I think that might be your biggest.
That played a big part here.
All right, well, you left me with no choice. I got to go Cam Young here.
Yeah.
Not much to say other than he's just one of the best golfers on the planet this whole season, and right now especially. I would go with Rory, but the pinky toe or whatever toe is bothering him scares me. As we're talking about this today, the news came out maybe an hour or so ago about him abandoning his practice round after the 3rd hole today because he's got a bad blister apparently that's really bugging him. I'm sure he'll be able to tough it out. But if it's that bad to the point where he's abandoning his practice round, it's obviously some kind of impact on him. And, I'm not upset leaning with Cam Young here. He's just been so good. His putting last week at the Truist wasn't fantastic, but he's been pretty good other than that, obviously, with the way he's played. So to get Cam Young at the 3rd pick here, I'm happy with it.
It's elite value, Kyle. It's the value play. It's beautiful. I mean, like you guys know, I've got some chips in the Cam Young basket. I wanted to diversify the portfolio a little bit this week.
Of course, yeah.
Get away from it. He will be, if we do an official picks graphic, I probably will stand on that one. But I think what was making me nervous, though, like you said, is the putting. I mean, I think like last week didn't worry me too much. It was really just that last round, like to be honest, where he lost like 6 strokes putting. The RBC before that, though, he did lose strokes in each round. His only good PGA Championship performance, which again doesn't really matter, was in 2022. But I mean, he's like when you're at this point, right? And it's like, who do I want to pick between Cam Young and Rory? Like those are kind of the only two you could maybe talk me into Matt Fitzpatrick, but I'm not coming near Bryson or John Rahm. So
No, we learned our lesson on that one.
yeah. Liv is going to be avoided like the plague, I think, on this podcast for this game at least. So I have nothing but respect for it. I think I'm curious what you guys think about. I agree with like Rory's toe or blister or whatever is definitely a question mark. I think what I'm curious about though is his like attitude. You know, like is he gonna? We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Nick, when we were talking about the Truist. Just that it didn't really seem like he cared that much that he wasn't performing particularly well. And I think part of that is also we've talked about for the past few weeks that it's just like he's going to be a major championship hunter. He's going to really focus on those. He's not going to pay much attention to these other events. But at the same time, last year at the PGA Championship, he was T47 at Quail Hollow, of course, that he loves, which obviously he played again last week and didn't do that great on. So I feel like I wanted to avoid it also just because I don't know where his head's at. I have no clue what version of him is about to show up. And I guess
to be fair, we said the same thing ahead of the Masters this year, and we got proved wrong so incredibly quickly. And so that's where I'm not entirely worried about where his head's at. I'm worried about where his foot's at. That's where I'm
foot's in his head. And there we go.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
That's where like I feel like beforehand it was just like a bit of a vibes feel where it's like something felt off about him. Now like there is actually something wrong with him, and there is actual reason to be a little scared of Rory this time around just because of an actual injury. So I feel a little bit less bad not picking him this time around, but I definitely think that he said that getting the Masters win last year was sort of the monkey off his back, and now he really wants to just keep pushing and try to win more majors. And so obviously he can't just, well, actually he probably can go and win Augusta every single year, but I would imagine he also wants to diversify the portfolio a little bit as well. So
yeah,
I'm not worried about where his head's at this week. Like I said, I think just the foot is scaring me a little bit.
Yeah, and the one thing to remember too that I almost forgot is that we are going to come back to these guys pretty likely when we go to our last category is just the one more, which is just we want to pick one more dude on our team. So there's a chance we get back to Rory, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, the other guys in this category. So with that, we can probably jump to next best, and we'll talk through those guys if we don't hit on them in that last category there. But Kyle, you're going to be leading us off with this one. It's a bigger category. We got a lot of names here, but I'm curious to hear what direction you're going to go.
Yeah, this one as you can see from the faces we've got up there, but I've got from among the likes of Brooks, Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose, JT, Justin Thomas, Russell Henley, Patrick Cantley, and then some other guys there. I'm not going to name them all.
You don't want to go through all 17 or whatever it is.
Dude, this is tough, man. There's a lot of good golfers here, some guys who are playing well. Oh, I think I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair.
He's been playing well despite the back. He didn't play well at the Cadillac, but before that at RBC, Masters, Arnold Palmer, and the Genesis, he's had all top 10 finishes. Of course, he's had to withdraw from a couple tournaments in that span as well because of the back. But I think that's more mental than physical at this point now, as we are far removed from it. And I just think he's due for one of these. So I don't mind picking Colin here.
Yeah, I don't have an argument there. I mean, it's the injury, it's the distance, whatever. But I mean, it's also just he's one of the best approach players, always has been, but especially from inside that 150-yard mark, which what we talked about is going to be fairly important. But as long as he can keep it in front of him, obviously he's not coming off a good start at the Cadillac, but other than that, I have no real worries there. He was going to be I was going to heavily debate that option for sure. But with it off the table, I think I still have I've got my notebooks, got all my board here, and I've still got the top of my board is available at this spot, which I'm always happy about. I'm going to go Russell Henley,
That was
which
my other guy.
yeah, I think he's kind of, I hadn't really heard much from him, but he's quietly having a good season, especially at the bigger events. He was T3 at the Masters, T13 at the Players, T3 at the Arnold Palmer. He does not have a good record at the PGA, which again, grain of salt, different courses, whatever. But he does really fit Aronimink. I mean, he like matches up with that 150 yards and in, and his putting has been his strength. His 3-putt avoidance is far above average. It's been a little bit erratic lately, but I do kind of like a good putter is a good putter, and I'm not going to be too turned off by the fact that it's been a little weird lately. And at this point, this tier was weird because it falls off pretty like the fall off from the favorites to this like second tier here is quite steep. Like just the fact that Brooks Koepka is leading it off, I think says something considering he hasn't done much of anything this season. Outside of like what is it, T12 at the Masters, but
I was gonna say we said that heading into the Masters too. But
I know. Well, I know. We will have that conversation either now or in a bit because I do have some questions about that. I'm curious what you guys think. But that being said, it's going to be Russell Henley. I have some good faith that the floor feels high, I guess, is part of this too. Like it doesn't feel like we're going to be missing the cut here, knock on wood. Now he's certainly going to miss the cut, by the way, now that I said that. But, whatever. I'll let you take it, Nick. I'll cede my time.
There's one person on this list that I think everybody expects me to pick. And I will not be doing that. I won't. You can't make me. And so with that, I will be placing my support behind Robert McIntyre this week.
Whoa. Okay.
Like
Talk me through it.
So Bobby Mack is one of the best putters on the tour. And he has gained strokes. I mean, of course, he lost strokes last week at the Truist, which, hot take, I'm willing to disregard like a random like T50 at a signature event just because we've talked at length about just the current signature model and how it's very easy to, if you're...
Also, yeah, everybody lost strokes putting at the Truist. Like for some reason, like I don't know what was going on there. Just like when you're looking at it, I feel like half the guys I was looking at, I was like, oh damn, they were putting really well until they played the Truist. It's just so bizarre.
Yeah. And so I'm not really bothered by that just because, we've talked about the signature event model, how it's very easy to kind of just get disillusioned after you're not really in a good spot on day one. But Truist outside, he has gained strokes in every single event he's played, dating back to the DP World Tour Championship in November. He's gained almost a full stroke in almost all of them. And off the tee, he's been really good as well. Not so much he's like a bit above average on the distance side, but he's also very accurate, which I do think is going to play a bit more of a role than people give it credit for. I think, if you're an average driver of the ball, but you're very accurate, I do think that is going to be a bit of an equalizer as well. And so I don't feel really bad about not picking it was between him and Patrick Cantlay. I feel like that would be another sneaky one, just because I feel like once we get to this point, I don't think we're really looking for we're not necessarily looking for someone to win the tournament. We're looking for someone to just get like a nice little T15 finish to prop us up. And so I think with someone like Bobby Mack, if the putter is firing, especially on a course like this where that is really an important thing, I think that is going to play a really big factor in that. And I think it's not a bad pick at all. Do we have time for me to explain my reasoning on one of my not picks?
Yeah, we got to go through a couple of these guys. There are some names on here I want to talk about, so get us started with that.
So Jordan Spieth, I'm gonna break my little taboo this time around. Jordan Spieth is in contention to complete the career Grand Slam, and I could not be any further less optimistic than this week.
This is like worst case scenario for him, I think. Like
this is. I mean, actually, no. I think it's, if anything, it really fits his game at the moment very well. Where he's hear me out.
Okay.
He's driving the ball.
I've got a rebuttal. Go ahead.
He's driving the ball very well. Like in theory, he's driving the ball better than it. This is. I told you we're gonna have fun.
It's good that golf is played in theory and not on a course. That would be horrible.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Jordan Spieth, if he took like Intro to Golf 101, like in the classroom, he would just like Golf Theory 101. He would just best in the class, summa cum laude. But so in theory, he's hitting the ball off the tees, the greatest he's hit in his career. Really, it's been one of the strengths of his game. If obviously the RBC was just absolutely terrible, but he's been an above average driver of the ball in recent tournaments, and putting is kind of hit or miss lately, but putting has statistically been a very big strength of his. So in theory, on a course that demands very good driving, very good putting, he could theoretically factor into the mix. And I think he mentioned at his press conference yesterday that the fact that he's driving the ball as well as he is makes him feel very confident about his ability to contend. That being said, he could barely string 18 holes together these days without a bogey. Like I think he has dating back to the 2025 Waste Management was his last. Like he's had 2 bogey-free rounds since the 2025 WM. Like it's truly been that bad when it comes to bogey avoidance. And I have no faith that even when he can string together a good round and just break sort of through that sort of streak, we saw what happened at the Cadillac where he fired, 7 under on day 1 and then just completely fell off the wagon in the final 3 days. And so, I don't really have faith that he could put together 4 competitive. I barely have faith he could put together 1 competitive round, if I'm being honest. But with that being said, that would be a crucial part of the Jordan Spieth experience, would be to win and complete the career Grand Slam when everybody counts him out. So make of that information what you will. I'm not sold.
Yeah, I'm so far from sold. I think also I think the putting thing is like, I think I do it too. I have this image of Jordan Spieth being a great putter, and he has historically been a great putter, but it's been so erratic recently. It's like so up and down that like any version of him could show up. I mean, he's got a couple random weeks where, like, at the RBC Heritage, he gained 2 shots putting a round, and then 2 weeks before that at the Valero Texas Open, he lost 2 strokes putting a round. Just feels like there's no continuity there. Like everything in his game has been erratic. Is there like that 1% chance that it randomly comes to fruition in 1 week where he has a great putting week, a great ball striking week, a great off the tee week? Sure, but I mean, I have very little confidence in his ability to do that. It just has not shaken out. But I'm curious because I think somebody I had pretty high-ish on my list that none of us have gone with. There's actually 2 guys, and I promise I'll be quick. Sam Burns, I think, it deserves a shout. Just one of the greatest putters on the PGA Tour, and pretty high up in this tier for me, at least. Let me try to find. There he is. He had a good stretch. He hasn't been playing that well recently. T38 at the Cadillac, T38 at T37 at the Truist. But I think just like he's one of the best in 3-putt avoidance specifically, even beyond just being a great putter. He's pretty good inside of 150 yards. I had him second behind only Russell Henley on my board. I think, again, he's one of those guys that, like, would I be surprised if I see him in the top 10 on Saturday? Not really. Would I be surprised if he misses the cut? Not really. I don't know. It could go one of 2 ways. But I do think there's a pretty high ceiling for what Sam Burns could do this week.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
And the other guy I wanted to talk about was Ricky a little bit.
Wait, so what tier is Ricky in? Because
he's in the next one. No.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Did his odds move? Did he go into the next one now?
Well, because you have him on the dock. You have him in mid-range.
Do I? What? We're gonna have to revisit this. He's in next best, is he not?
No.
Oh, okay. I see. His odds might have moved or something. Okay. Well, then we can include Ricky in the next field.
Because I saw his face on the little bottom there. I'm like, wait, I thought we're saving that for the next round. I was a little confused.
He must have just moved from plus 7,000 to just inside plus 7,000. So we'll include him because what you guys were expecting is him to be in the next. So we'll save him then. We'll save him for the next round. You can include him on your boards for round 3, the mid-range rounds there, because he is. I think he did move to plus 6,800 inside that plus 7,000 marker, but for the sake of good competition here, let's pull him into the next round. I think that's
Of
more than
course.
fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Two other guys quickly in this tier. Patrick Cantlay, who's been playing good golf, and Siwoo. I mean, you just got to bring up Siwoo every week. It seems like he's just played so well this
Only
season.
when Kyle picks him, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
Thank
this
you.
one of those weeks, Kyle? How are we feeling? Siwoo whisperer.
No, I mean I can't pick him to win anymore. He just hasn't made it across the finish line. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 10 coming into Sunday this week and over the weekend. He's just got to get that putter going, man. But he's just such a good approach player. His irons are so good. I think he can do well at this course for sure.
Yeah. Cantley's a good shout too. He's been top 12 in 4 straight starts quietly, like sort of just chugging along recently
That's just
after
what
a
he
pretty
does.
bad start to the season. He does, yeah, very, very quietly does that behind the scenes. You don't even know he's there. Putting isn't his best thing, but he is solid at 3-putt avoidance, and he was the start at Truist, which, you know, if we're discounting bad rounds, we probably should discount good ones too at the Truist, but it was his best start putting in terms of strokes gained of the year. So do with that what you will. But yeah, I that he is definitely worth a shout in this tier.
The one person that wait, Kyle, did you make your pick yet?
Yeah, I picked Colin.
He let us off with Colin.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot we're doing the snake, but I think where I'm a bit confused in this tier, I was looking at Victor Hovland just because he's a name that you always kind of have to just like give at least a little bit of looks at, and I was legitimately gonna like think about it a little bit, and then I opened Twitter and saw that he, as of 2 hours ago, was on the range hitting cross-handed irons.
Cross-handed
saw
iron, like full swing.
Yep.
Oh God.
So that I put that in the same tier as the pool floaties, if I'm being honest. So
That's worse. That's way worse than the pool floaties.
That's where we're at now. So there's nothing that inspires any confidence.
No, that's brutal to see. That's really unfortunate, man. You got to be real lost to do that. I mean, what's he been doing recently? I mean, he hasn't finished top 10 on a PGA Tour event, including the Masters, since the WM Phoenix Open. There you go. That'll do it. He's not been playing well. I don't think cross-handed iron shots are the answer, but I guess who am I to judge, right?
Of course.
So are we on to mid-range now?
Yeah, let's go mid-range.
Okay, let's do it. And again, Ricky is in this tier. Am I up first? Is that where we're at now? No, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. Nick's up first.
Oh, Nick leads
Yeah.
us in the front.
I don't think you're ever going to pick first, Will.
I know. It's sad that we've made it. We've only gone 2 rounds and I'm already confused. But Nick, you're up.
I mean, I got lost too. I had to ask
Yeah,
Kyle.
it's okay. Nick, you're up.
Pick first.
Nick, you're up. I'm going to write it down right now who starts off each round, but
Yeah.
Nick, you start this one off.
You know, you teased it, and maybe that's why I was a bit defensive of his position. I got to be honest. I'm seeing orange, guys.
Yeah.
Love it.
I do. Yeah, I think especially if he's in this tier. This tier is pretty miserable. Yeah, it's a tough scene outside of that, and maybe 1 or 2 other guys. But Ricky's absolutely the choice.
Yeah, he's one of the best putters on tour. Has been for a very long time. Ball striking is pretty decent. I think he's one of the best like mid-range ball strikers out there. And he's never really a bomber. That's never been disputed. But just like I said with Bobby Mack, I think if you're accurate off the tee, that is going to like help you a bit more. Then I think that could be a bit of an equalizer. And so he's also just had really good form over the last few tournaments. Obviously, T2 at the Truist, didn't get it done, but before that, T9 at the Cadillac, T8 at the RBC. Missed the cut at both of the Texas events in the lead up to the Masters when he really needed them in order to play the Masters. But in the 3 signature events that he's played in after that, he's really been impressive since then. And so I think you got to ride with the hot hand. And, it really feels weird to have this much confidence for Ricky Fowler in a major in the year of our Lord 2026. But I don't know. I just have this gut feeling.
Well, I think you can also. He's one of the few guys that you can look back at his course experience here, and he's finished T8 here in 2018 and T13 in 2011. Gained over a stroke per round putting in both of those tournaments. I totally agree. It is weird, but he's one of the guys where, like, again, this is kind of the argument I had for Russell Henley. Like, I feel like the floor for Ricky this week is fairly high. Knock on wood. I mean, I don't want to be jinxing him at all because I would love to see Ricky playing well in orange on Sunday. But yeah, he's just like solid in approach. Seems to be a good putter. Seems to like this course. Playing really well. Playing probably the best stretch of his career. I think I saw since was it 2021 or 2019 the last time he had 3 straight top tens. But yeah, again, it feels like a great, like fairly safe bet considering what else you have in, like you said, Nick, this somewhat bleak tier. There's a pretty steep drop after Ricky, I think, here. So I understand why you fought to make sure he's in this tier because I would have done the same for sure. Okay, that means it's my turn.
Yes,
all right.
It does.
Oh, it really is a steep drop. I think, man, a lot of guys in this tier that I feel like are fine, that are just like solid, that I don't expect to do a ton, but I expect to be fine. But I think I'm going to go with a little bit of extra upside here. I think I go Patrick Reed. I think I go with the man himself. Again, it's weird. I think the thing that makes me really hesitant here is that he hasn't played golf professionally since the Masters. It was a T12 at the Masters, but the finishes he does have, again, Masters, T12, 4 top 10s on the DP World Tour, including 2 wins in just those 4 starts. He played here decently in 2018, T19 at that BMW. He's a great putter. He's got great hands around the green. He's just got he's one of those guys that I feel like has great feel, and for some reason that feels important this week. I think that comes with like the massive undulating greens, the bunkering around the green, stuff like that. Like it just feels like one of those. Feels like a feel week, if that makes any sense. But no, I again, part of this is just it's not the flashiest of tiers, but yeah, I'm gonna ride with my guy. I'm gonna ride with Patrick Reed.
I have a bit of a question about Patrick. First off, I love the fact that you kept him with his 4 aces cap, and
I know.
Right
well, the alternative was one that was an even way worse photo, so I had to go with the 4 aces.
But my question is, did Patrick Reed peak too early?
Like this year or in his career?
Yes, this year.
It's hard. We haven't seen him play golf in a month. I don't know.
Well, and that's where let me pull up his stats just because I feel like he was a big name on the DP World Tour. Like it almost seemed like immediately after he announced that he would be coming back, then he just like really caught fire. And then okay, because it's not as bad as I thought, but so he got his 2 wins, and then it was T29 at Investec South African Open Championship, and then T10 at the Joburg Open, and then T12 at the Masters. Okay, so maybe not as bad as I'm giving.
There's just not that much sample size, especially recently. Like I think that's like he played golf at the Masters. Before that, it had been a month, and since then, it's been a month. So we've seen 1 tournament in the last 60 days from Patrick Reed. It was a good tournament, but it's the Masters, and he always plays well at the Masters. So like, what do I do with that? I don't know.
And so I guess that's where my question comes in, as in like I think we talked about off screen guys that we thought like if they were going to win, they would have by now. Just like hot hands at the beginning of the year that is just an unsustainable pace. And it makes me wonder, like obviously we have yet to see a real big sample size since the Masters, but it almost makes me wonder, did Patrick Reed get his win? We said the same thing about Matt Fitzpatrick too, quite frankly. Did they both get their winning out of the way a little too early in the season?
It'll be hard to. We'll have to wait to see, just because he hasn't played since the beginning of the season. But I mean, it's certainly possible. Like, and then again, it was DP World Tour wins, which are competitive. Don't get me wrong, and he played really, really well. Almost got a 3rd DP World Tour when he was in that playoff. But yeah, I'm curious to see. I just think he's a veteran. He's got the parts of the game that matter here. But in terms of like logging wins, it's very possible. I also think he's done so well in the DP World Tour that he's set. Like he joined the DP World Tour to get onto the PGA Tour, right? Like you need the top 25, I believe, in the race to Dubai to get a PGA Tour card. Maybe it's a top 20, I forget exactly. But with the 2 wins already set and a 2nd place or a T2 finish, I guess, he's got that in the bag. Like he doesn't need to worry about getting onto the PGA Tour next year, which I think is part of why he's taking all this time off. I don't know what he's doing with that time. It stresses me out. Like, is he grinding? I don't know. I have no idea. I truly have zero concept of what Patrick Reed is doing with his 2 months off minus the Masters weekend. But man, I hope he's playing a little bit of golf because I'm putting some faith in him this week. I do think he's going to perform pretty well, hopefully.
Well, speaking of guys who started off hot and you're not sure if they could keep the pace up, I'll go with my pick here. It's got to be Chris Gotterup. Started the season great, and as I was looking at guys who I was leaning towards picking in each of these tiers, and just guys who I think are going to do well. I'm looking at guys who have been hot with the putter, and Gotterup has been flaming hot with the putter, especially the last 2 tournaments at the Truist and the Cadillac. He's gaining over a stroke gained in putting last couple tournaments he's played. He's got 2025 U.S. Open, T23, 2025 the Open, he finished 3rd, and at the Masters this year he was T24, so he's playing well in majors, well enough. And after winning twice to begin this year, you only think his major performance is going to keep getting better and better. And he's got a hot putter. The other guy I was leaning towards was J.J. Spawn, another guy who's been great with his irons, has been playing well recently. He had a top T5 finish last weekend, and the putter's coming around a little bit too with JJ. So if I were to pick a couple guys, it'd be those two, but Chris Gotterup would be my official pick for this mid-range tier we've got.
JJ's a great shot. I mean, we knew he won the Valero, but I feel like I was kind of unconscious to his recent form other than the Valero. Like you said, 4 top 25 in the last 5 starts, T5 to the Truist kind of highlights that outside of that win at Valero. Another guy
he was kind of the opposite of Gotterup, where he just started so bad it kind of left a taste in your mouth where you had a tough time picking him after that. But he's played well recently enough. So
I know. Another guy that kind of flew under the radar to the same extent for me is Kurt Kitayama. Did you guys know that he's been top 20 in each of his last 3 starts? Because I did not. I was completely unaware that he was T19 at the Truist, T9 at the Cadillac, T8 at the RBC Heritage, and T4 at the 2023 PGA Championship. If that matters to you, it was at Oak Hill, so it probably doesn't. But his approach play is his thing. His approach, if you just look at his profile, it is all green on approach play, and it's especially between that 100 to 200 yard mark. The tough part is that he's really bad around the greens. He's solid on them. He's fine, very PGA Tour average. I think he's right on that average mark, maybe slightly above average in terms of 3-putt avoidance, but his putting is super erratic. If we get a bad putting week, it's going to be tough for him to peak, but he's playing really well. I mean, those were 3, big signature events where he top 20, including 2 top 10s. And like I said, he's got the distance off the tee and he's got that approach play to perform. I think a couple names that surprised me, I'm surprised. I feel like we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It always kind of surprises me how far down the board Akshay Bhatia is.
A little bit.
I mean, there was a couple guys that this happened to me while I was writing. I was like, really? He's down here. And then we'll get to Rio Hisatsune. He's in a similar boat. But I'm like, oh my God, he's got such low odds. And then I look at it and it's like, oh, he hasn't finished inside the top 10 since the Arnold Palmer that he won. His T37 at the Truist, missed the cut in both of his 2 PGA Championship starts. His putting, which is his main thing, or a huge strong suit of his, was pretty bad at the Truist. He's average in terms of 3-putt avoidance. He's solid from 100 to 150 yards, but he's lost strokes in approach in both of his last 2 starts. It was just one of those ones where there's a little bit of shock value when you see his name all the way down there as somebody who's won a big event this year and has, stacked up a really good resume in a young career. And then you kind of look at the recent resume and you're like, oh, okay. No, I kind of get it. But still, being down here feels a little excessive. But then again, we just talked about why I like Kurt Kitayama, who's right in front of him. So, do with that what you will. But he was a name that surprised me a little bit.
Can I give you a name that I just saw? I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I don't know where this is, but does anybody want to know? Anybody want to take a guess what Mito Pereira is up to right now?
Did he retire?
Oh, he's
retired
doing
now.
Off-roading, mountain biking,
he's
dirt biking stuff now.
Dirt biking somewhere,
Wow.
I guess. Yeah, there's a video circling around right now of him just dirt biking, and that's how he is
You're
spending his.
You're not picking Mito Pereira?
I thought about it. I kind of weighed the options a little bit, but I don't think I'm gonna. At least not in this tier.
Do y'all remember that he almost won this?
Yeah.
Like he should have won the PGA in 2022 when Justin
Yeah.
Thomas just walked into a PGA after being like 3 groups in front of that final pairing. That was crazy.
I mean, that's still an incredible story.
I mean,
And that was one of the. I mean, granted, he always had a bit of a weird swing, but just I go back and I look at that, mainly just looking at the playoff and just seeing JT like absolutely pipe one on that drivable par 4. But like that swing on 18 from Mito might be one of the ugliest golf swings I've ever seen.
Well, it's also such like a sliding doors moment in his career. Like if he wins that PGA Championship, do you think he's dirt biking in God knows where right
Not
now?
at all.
Like, do you think he even goes to live? Do you think he does any of that?
I still think he does. Yeah, actually.
He probably does. But because he was young, he was a rookie, I believe, when he at that PGA in 2022. I think he was a rookie.
I think that was the time when people were jumping ship in order, like getting their major status and then jumping ship.
Yeah,
that was
right.
when Cam
Young,
Smith
right?
was.
Cam Smith, sorry, not Cam Young.
Which headline heading into the week, Cam Smith has a new coach. He is working with Claude Harmon, son of Butch Harmon. And
it's actually just Claude, the AI program, is what he's working with.
Literally. The article I read was like, he's working with Claude Harmon. This is really great. Claude Harmon works with DJ. It's like, that makes me feel so much better.
Right. Thank God. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about how far down Cam Smith is on this list.
Man, I don't even think I wrote him up. That's how far down he is on this list. I can check it on DraftKings, but he didn't deserve a full write-up. I believe he was somewhere in that 25. Yeah, we don't need to check. It's okay. He's down there. Far down.
Could be fun. Might use once.
Are there any other names in here? I mean, Shane Lowry.
I'd say Nikolai. Probably.
Oh yeah, my guy Nikolai Højgaard.
I mean, he was also good to start the season. He's 14th in strokes gained on approach, so he's been doing well with that all year. His putter is kind of come and gone, but mostly in the green when you look at him. T2 last week too, and played well playing with Cam Young and Rory. Kind of played better than both of those guys over the weekend. I'm surprised he's down this far low, honestly.
He's another one whose odds have moved. He's at 6,200 now.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
He's moved up a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised his odds are all the way up there. But then you think about I feel like I always associate him much more with like the Rio Satsunes, not the Kurt Kitayamas, but the Rio Satsunes and the guys like Maverick McNeely, stuff like that. And then you look at the odds and he's cut those guys in half pretty much just by the way he's been playing. I mean, it's been erratic, but a couple T2s on his to his resume already this year. Still waiting for that breakout so I can cut the clip from our picking Cinderella's episode and kind of go viral on TikTok with that one because he was my favorite one, but I don't think I can claim that until he wins, unfortunately. So we're holding out. We're holding out for now.
Add him to the list of guys you're holding out for.
Yeah, I know. We got a lot of clips in the backed up. We got a lot of clips backed up.
Okay, so next tier.
Yeah, that brings us to long shots, which I believe is Kyle, which is we titled it the It's Happened Before, just because that is the range in which we've seen the long shot winners. Phil Mickelson was plus 25,000 when he won. I believe there are a couple others. There was let's see here. There was Keegan when he won at Atlanta Athletic Club. He was plus 17,500, and then Jimmy Walker at Baltusrol in 2016, which is a forgotten major, was plus 15,000 as well. But that brings us to this tier. Yeah, we got the long shot. There's a couple names up here. You can see Keegan's in that same tier again if you want to double dip on have him repeat from 2011. But you never know. But
God, I mean, this is once you get to this tier, it's just a tough list. I guess I'm torn between a couple guys.
There's a name that I really want to stick around for a second here. We'll see it.
I'm gonna go with Jacob Bridgman.
Okay.
Just because, I think he still leads the tour in strokes gained putting. He really got off to a hot start and just really hasn't been the same in a couple months. So I don't feel good about it, but I think I'm going Bridgman.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I think, like you said, it's been erratic recently, but he is one of the best putters in the world. So when you get the opportunity with a guy like that on a course where it matters, it's like, can't blame you. That was not who I was hoping to fall, though, because I'm just gonna poach last week's winner, Christopher Rayton. I'm going to ride the hot hand a little bit here. Just again, this is kind of a tier where you're grasping at straws a little bit. There's not a ton, so why not take the guy that's been T2, T14, and a win in his last 3 events? And, given one of those is the Zurich, but that's what got his stretch started, I guess. So again, no PGA Championship, no Aronimink experience. Neither he's played in neither. Obviously, wasn't around really in 2018. I believe he's 28 years old now, so would have been 20 and not really on the PGA Tour at the time. But his putting and driving distance have been like the strongest assets during this run, and the 3-putt avoidance has been really good. Top 25 on the PGA Tour in what events he's played, and the approach play is his weakness. But that's kind of the hot hand aspect of this whole thing. Is he's had his best two of his best 3 events in the last 2 events he's played in that Cadillac win, or the Truist win in the Cadillac T14. So assuming he stays hot, like I've got every reason to believe that he should be up near-ish the top of the leaderboard. Again, like when we're down in this tier, it's kind of like you either pick a floor or you pick an upside, and I'm kind of going with upside here because there's absolutely a chance he just misses the cut and is riding the coattails of a big win. But that being said, you never know. He could also back it up with a great first. He could Mito Pereira this puppy. Some have been using that expression recently, I think. So we're gonna go with Chris Rayton here.
I think while you were trying to talk, I was just going through the list you had and just looking.
Trying to talk. I think I was doing a great job.
Did I say try? No, I said I was trying to while you were talking. I was trying to.
It's okay. It's a Freudian slip, Nick. It's all right. I'll let it slide.
Exactly. Yes. No, we love you, Will. But I was trying to look at the data golf profiles of people that are on the lists, and my God, it is bleak. And so that's where I'm trying to abandon statistics and say that, this event is happening in the Atlantic Northeast. Did you know Keegan Bradley is from the Atlantic Northeast?
I did.
And when he's in that Northeast environment, the crowd really rallies around him because he's from the Atlantic Northeast. I was reading.
He from?
Some Massachusetts area, I think.
Atlantic Northeast or elsewhere? I'm just messing with you.
Because
he won here in 2011, won the PGA in 2011 and won here in 2018.
Yeah, it's not a terrible pick. I think I went on that rant. I just saw it last night. There was a quote from his press conference where he talked about just the crowd rallying behind him. It's like Keegan Bradley would try to find a way to equivalent Pebble Beach to the Atlantic Northeast and try to find a connection there. And so that's where I kind of got to go off of vibes. And Keegan is one of those like sneaky people where it's like I said, once you get down to this tier, you're really just looking for like a top 20. And he's one of those where it's like he's someone that always finds himself around at events like this. Never breaks into contention, obviously, but can very much be around. So, he's a decent ball striker, decent putter, decent around the greens, just kind of a bit of decent everything. Sure, why not? Let's go with it.
Yeah, I mean, he won the Travelers last year, and it's not going to be the same, but it's Atlantic Northeast, baby. Like he loves this stuff. And like I said, he's one of 2 people in the field that have, because we don't have the 2011 winner Nick Watney, I don't believe is in this field, but 2010 Justin Rose winner here and Keegan Bradley 2018 winner here. Those are the only 2 guys in this field who have actually won on this course. So that should give him a little boost. He's a returning champion. I don't blame you at all. He was right behind Christopher Rayton for me. Like that would have been, if Kyle had taken Rayton, that's where I was going too. So I like it. No love for the Fitz, the
I was
other
gonna
Fitz.
say, yeah, no Alex Fitzpatrick for you.
I mean, yeah, that could have been like a vibes one right there. I think just
That's
in
the
terms
hot hand
of
argument again.
that is a really hot hand right there. I think that would be an interesting one, but I think I'm gonna respectfully pass on this one.
Yeah. I mean, the approach play is there. It's just his putting's erratic, to be honest. And, but he absolutely the same argument. I think the upside with Rayton is probably higher this week, which is why I lean towards him. But Fitzpatrick, I almost made the same argument to myself about it. Like he just, he's right next to Rayton in odds too. It's like just one of the hottest streaks in golf at the moment. So why not? But yeah, I don't know. Are there other names? We got Sudarshan Yelamarahu in this tier. I considered him as well purely because he does.
I wanted it. I really wanted it.
He's a little too far back. It would be a little ridiculous to make that pick here. But I mean, T19 at the Truist last week. Just he's same thing you said about Keegan. He's just like solid in all of. I mean, again, small sample size, different courses. He hasn't been playing in a ton of the big events until recently. But in terms of his strokes gain profile, it's just like, it's like solid across the board. He's, really good at 3-putt avoidance, but approach play is just like good from everywhere. Solid. He's slightly above average in accuracy off the tee, slightly above average in distance off the tee. We'll see. It would be so fun. But that also brings me to somebody I mentioned. It would be so fun. That brings me to somebody I mentioned before is Rio Hisatsune is all the way down here, man. He is, at plus 32,500. Which is a little crazy to me. But then again, this was one of those guys where I wrote down, am I crazy or does this feel disrespectful? He has worse odds than Angel Ayora, Jaden Shaper, Bud Cauley, JT Poston, and Aaron Rye. No hate to any of those guys. But then you look at his most recent events. I didn't realize he hasn't been inside the top 40 in his last 3 events. He's got 4 top 10 finishes on the season, but a T37 at the 2025 PGA. Like it hasn't been good recently. And his approach play, which is his thing, that's what's carried him in that really good stretch early this season where we thought Rio Hisatsune might knock off a win or two, including at the WM Phoenix Open when we saw him, I believe, take the Saturday lead. But yeah, he's lost that in the last few tournaments, and his putting's been erratic. So I wish I had a little more faith in that one because it would be really fun, but unfortunately, I do not.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've said it from the start where I think if he was going to win something, it would have happened earlier in the year. I think just the fact that it's taken this long, I don't have a lot of hope, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we can do our one more and use that as an opportunity to talk about a couple more guys here. We've got our silhouettes bottom right if you're watching live because there's anybody's in this tier, and I wasn't about to put everybody's headshot down bottom right here, but we can revisit some of the top. You can get as crazy with this one or as boring with this one as you like. It is going to count, so maybe don't get too crazy because you still want to score well, but we can have a little fun with it if you like. But I think this is Nick, right? Yeah, Nick, you are taking us away here.
I don't. You know what? This is calling to me, and this is like the Green Goblin mask right now. Bryson DeChambeau is really calling me right now.
He's missing the
and
God.
and I'm trying really hard to resist.
I mean, this much fun, Nick. Reel it in.
Yeah, it's calling to me in a way that I was not anticipating just because of his driving distance. But I really think I'm gonna have to resist on that one. John Rahm's another one that is calling to me, but I think I'm gonna have to resist there. And when in doubt, I'm gonna go back to Old Faithful on this one.
Yeah, Matty Fitz, the first Fitz. Yeah, first Fitz. That was predictable. Fitz parentheses Matthew. Anyways, I mean that's probably the right pick. I do want to have. I mentioned this before because I'm curious what you guys think. How on earth is John Rahm significantly better odds than Cam Young?
I have no idea.
But he was horrid. I mean, he was 6 over in at the Masters in his first round. He kind of brought it back a little bit. I know he finished top 40, but man, he on Live, do with that what you will. He's got 5 top 2 finishes, including 2 wins. Was fine at Aronimink in 2018. He was good last year at the PGA, but I don't know. It just seems kind of insane to me that he's substantially is maybe the wrong word, but he's comfortably in front of Cam Young, who's won the Players in the Cadillac Championship, almost won last week, almost won the Masters, almost won the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
I think you're looking at if you go on just only data golf, you're looking at one of the best ball strikers in the world.
Cam Young?
Like
I think
Rahm.
Oh, Rahm. Oh, damn. I don't believe that. All due respect.
I know. I was a bit surprised when I saw it. I think they're putting a little too much stock in Liv. Just because, outside of the Masters, he hasn't finished outside of the top 10 this year. And he has 2 wins. He has 4 top 5 finishes outside of those wins. And, I'm not discounting wins on Liv as much as probably everybody else is, just because I think you do have to have some talent to win as well. And I don't think that talent disappears overnight. It's just more so buy-in as well. So I don't know. I don't really know, if I'm being honest. I don't know just where that translates, so I don't think it's as bad of a pick as people are making it out to be, but I wouldn't particularly make that pick.
I think if you're just looking at all the names on an even playing field, I think in terms of on an odds board where he's falling behind only Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy is a little crazy to me. I mean, I could go. I mean, Bryson too, I don't think should be in front of Xander Schauffele, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Ludwig Oberg. I think that's kind of crazy too. But I could go pretty far down this. I'm trying to I'm curious what you guys think. Just scrolling down the list of the odds or whatever, where do you stop in terms of somebody who has a higher likelihood to win than Jon Rahm or Bryson DeChambeau? To me, it feels like Matt Fitzpatrick has a higher likelihood to win than Bryson DeChambeau or Jon Rahm, and he's 7th in these odds behind Schauffele and Ludwig Oberg. Like I said, it feels. I don't know. I mean, the books know more than me, obviously, but that just feels a little insane that Fitz is all the way back there. I mean, yeah, they're you could tell me that Colin Morikawa has better odds to win than Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm, and I wouldn't argue with you that hard. I don't think that's.
I go back to it's just the betting odds aren't an accurate reflection of who they think is going to win. It's Bryson. Bryson is one of the most popular golfers in the game of golf, regardless of how good you think he is. But he's a YouTube golf star, and that carries a lot of weight in terms of who people are betting on. You know? And that's why you go out and ask 10 random people on the street who Matt Fitzpatrick is and who Bryson is.
Yeah.
If any of them know, it's going to be Bryson. Nobody knows Matt Fitzpatrick unless you're paying attention to golf on a week to week basis, really.
Yeah, Bryson is more of a household name for sure. Just like my mom probably knows Bryson DeChambeau's name just because he's been talked about so much in the general eco in the world or whatever. After post that rant, I'm gonna go Rory. I think I'm just gonna take him. I talked about my hesitancies already. I don't know where his head's at. Whatever. At the same time, if his head's 80% screwed on, he's going to be in the top 10 this week. So I don't.
I think he's in a good place mentally. I
do too. I think
disagree with that. I just think I think we saw it after the Masters. He's continued to play pretty well when he's played.
The one time.
Yeah.
When he finished T19 last week.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, no, I think the conversation we've had a couple times over the last few weeks is that I just think, and I'm kind of fine with it. I just think that he's fully focused on majors, but I kind of think that was the case last year, and he came to the PGA Championship and was T47 on a course that he really likes at Quail Hollow. So I think
but that was coming off such an emotional Masters win. Yeah, it's just different this year.
I think so too. Which I mean, hey, I'm the guy taking him, so
I was just about to say, why am I talking you?
I do think. Look, I think there's a 95% chance that he finishes in the top 15. I just think the floor is lower for him than some of these other guys. That 95 is excessive. I'm exaggerating. That would be. Maybe I shouldn't give betting advice if I'm saying stuff like that. But hey, no. Anyways, I'm going to take him. He's top 12 in 3 of the last 4 of these things. Quail Hollow is the exception. So if I'm discounting Quail Hollow, I should be giving him credit for, or if I'm not discounting Quail Hollow and saying that that's a reason not to pick him, I should give him credit for those other 3 too. So he's one of the best players in the world and could easily win this thing. So Rory's going to be the pick. Kyle, this is going to wrap it up. So we can talk about a couple if we leave anybody off here, but take us away.
Yeah, well, I think one guy we haven't really talked about, who I'm going to make our final pick, is going to be Xander Schauffele.
Yeah. That's the other option.
Can I say one thing really quickly?
Sure.
Uh-oh.
I fully intended to pick Xander with this pick, and I blacked out and just went with Fitz.
You know what? I believe you. I 100% believe you.
It just relied on just gut instinct,
Yes.
carnal, like pure animal instinct.
And I didn't want to say anything because I thought it would be cheap, but just putting it out there.
Well, thank you.
Brother.
Thank you for blanking on that one. I mean, Xander, like he hasn't been great with the putter this whole season, honestly, which, is probably why, his odds are going to be always at the top because he's one of the best players in the world. But I think they'd be even higher if he'd been putting better this year. But starting with the players, I mean, he's had a good stretch of golf up until the Truist. He was third at the Players, T4 at the Valspar, T9 at the Masters. So he's played good golf. I mean, his strokes gained on approach are just insane. So he's just such a good player. I'd be surprised if is he not going to win at all this year? That'd be crazy. Or at least be further in contention. He was there at the Players. It just didn't feel like he was going to win. Kind of the same with the Masters. He's just got to get that putter going, which is why he wasn't one of the original picks that any of us had. And it's been this long since we've even mentioned him.
Yeah. I also have trouble believing that he's not going to win. I mean, or not this week necessarily, but not going to win in the near future, just with the talent we saw from him in 2024 when he knocked off 2 majors was ridiculous. Obviously one of those was the PGA at Valhalla, and he proved that he can win a Birdie Fest tournament that week. Maybe he can do it again. We saw the amount of distance and speed he added on his driver. We know he's up there with the best of them with that. His approach play has always been fantastic. Again, when you're talking about the best players in the world, it's pretty much just accolade after accolade here. But I do have trouble believing that he's not going to get another win pretty soon, despite the fact that he played poorly at the Truist, which I'm starting to just be willing to discount, considering how many players I feel played badly at the Truist or played weird at the Truist or had a bad putting.
Yeah, this is a really weird. That's a really weird tournament to base off of, and I'm totally fine just throwing it out the window.
Too many times. Yeah, I think. Yeah, if he gets it hot with the putter, he could win this thing, no problem. He's one of those guys that at the top of his form, and I think we said this a couple weeks ago. There are very few guys who, when they even at the top of their form, can contend with the Scotty, the Rory. If Scotty and Rory are playing well, there's probably a list of maybe 5 guys that can play their best and still contend. And that list includes Xander Schauffele, it includes Cam Young, it includes John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau. It's just we haven't seen that peak in a little bit longer. And it probably includes Matt Fitzpatrick too. I don't actually know that it includes Ludwig Åberg now that I'm thinking of it.
In your mind, it does.
Well, I think the difference is we just haven't really seen it from Ludwig. We haven't seen him knock.
Yeah, he's in another tier. He's not in there. Those guys.
That's okay. It's okay, Will. He's handsome.
He is so good. So you know what? It's worth it. It's a good pick. And Tommy Fleetwood hasn't even won a real event on the PGA Tour yet. So that's why we left him off, I guess.
Yeah. He's way too high up on the board for that. I'm not a chance.
Him and Brooks also feels weird to me. I don't. That's a weird little area. It's Tommy Fleetwood at plus 2,700. Brooks is considerably lower at plus 3,700. Then you've got Morikawa at plus 3,900. Rose at plus 4,700. Justin Thomas is somebody we didn't talk about at all. I was kind of.
Yeah, we should have talked about him. He's been playing well.
We still can. It's not over, Kyle. But yeah, no, he was. What tier was he?
It's not.
He was my. Yeah, Kyle's please, can it be? No, it is. But no, JT.
I mean,
was
all our picks are done.
We are, yeah. I can give you the teams real quick if we want to tie a bow on it that way. We tie a bow on this draft here. I'll start with Nick, who led us off with Scotty Scheffler. He's got Robert McIntyre, He's got Ricky Fowler, and he's got Matt Fitzpatrick after his little blackout there. And then my team is Ludwig Oberg. It's Russell Henley. It's Patrick Reed, and it is Christopher Rayton. And Nick, I forgot your Keegan Bradley to add Keegan Bradley onto the list I just made. It's Christopher Rayton, and I also have Rory McIlroy. And then Kyle's team is Cam Young. It is Colin Morikawa. It is Chris Gotterup. It is Jacob Bridgman. And it is Xander Schauffele to round that out. And I think we talked about 95% of the field. So I think we even gave Michael Block a shout, which is how you know it's probably time to move on.
Yeah, where does he factor into all of this?
I think if he does anything, we all should get points.
I agree with that.
It's funny.
All of our teams.
I didn't realize, if you look at like I was surprised by how much PGA Tour experience or PGA Championship experience he has even. But like, if you just look at I'm pulling it up now. If you look at his like PGA Championship finishes, obviously we all know about that T15 in 2023, the hole in one. Obviously he spent too many times, but missed the cut in 2025, missed the cut in 2024, T15 in 2023, missed the cut in 2022, 2018, 2016, and 2014.
That just makes it even funnier.
I wouldn't have high hopes for the Blocky this week, but we do need to move on. We've been yapping for quite some time. We can give the briefest of over. There is other golf apparently this week. Not everybody took it off. The DP World Tour is gone, or off this week. Not gone. They'll be back. Don't worry. But we do have the LPGA going on this week, which is actually set up to be a fairly fun tournament at the Kroger Queen City Championship in Cincinnati. We have Gino Titakun coming off her second win on the LPGA Tour this season and squaring off against Nelly Korda, who returns after taking a week off to try to get that elusive 7th straight top 2 finish to start off her 2026 season. And Charlie Hull, World Tour 6, is defending there. I don't know if you guys have anything to add on to that, but that's kind of the broad synopsis there of what to look for.
Yeah, I know we talked yesterday where we almost put the proverbial asterisk on Gino's win simply because Nelly Korda.
You guys are Gino haters. You guys were trashing her for not winning because she hadn't won since Thailand, and now she wins last week, and you can't give her any props because Nelly wasn't playing. I mean, she can't win with you guys.
It's a real win. It's just there was one very important player missing from that field, but I'm not going to discount it too much. I was a little harsh in my.
Gino, you've got one fan on this podcast. I'll stick up for you.
Kyle will always be there in your corner, Gino. If you ever need somebody to fight for you against me and Nick, I think. Yeah,
but don't loop me into this. This was all you yesterday.
Oh my God! Why am I getting trounced here? No, I think Gino Titakun's a fantastic player. She's well deserved of the world number 2. I just think the world number 1 is that much better than everybody else. It's hard when she hasn't finished outside the top 2. But yeah, that's a good little sneak peek of what kind of action you might get at the Kroger Queen City Championship this week between those two. I'm sure they'll be a lot friendlier about it than we just were. And then you got the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour Americas going on to round things out. The Korn Ferry Tour is in South Carolina. The Colonial Life Charity Classic and the PGA Tour Americas is in Peru for the Diners Club Peru Open. And that's it. That's it for global golf, I believe. At least the tours we usually hit on there. So.
Nice. Okay. Well, we will be back with you for a special Friday episode like we did for the Masters. Some iteration of this podcast will be talking on Friday, joining you probably kind of like what we did for the Masters for the last few holes of Friday's round, recapping what happened on Thursday and Friday for those first 2 rounds of the PGA. And then, of course, we'll be back next week on Monday with a full recap of the entire tournament and everything that happens over the weekend. We will put our official picks out, what we did for the teams, and then our individual picks on our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all our social media. Find us on Twitter and TikTok, or Twitter at Center Cup Pod, our Instagram and TikTok at centercup.pod. And please, please, please email Will at centercup.pod.
I checked today. Still dry. Still dry. Well, we get emails from our various subscriptions to services that get this podcast aired, But outside of that, no, we don't. We haven't had any
Fans.
fans. No. So there's 34 people currently tuned in live here. Maybe a couple more listening on Spotify. One of you 34, please. I'm so sad.
32.
Send me an email. Damn it.
Somebody centercup.pod@yahoo.com, and
It's right there on the screen.
Will email you back and tell you about one of his 27 people he thinks is going to win this week.
I don't think that's going to get people to email. They don't. That's going to turn them off, Kyle. That's not going to.
Would you rather have Nick email you with a Jordan Spieth rant after a Thursday?
I think
I
they
can
just
do
want to
that.
talk to the. They
That
only
could
want
be
the guy who's actually picked one right, Kyle. They want you to give them some insight here. We got to get you writing a weekly newsletter for these folks. We got to get a
that would be
subscription
good.
service
Ooh.
going.
Ooh,
Well, did you hear,
Ooh.
Kyle? We've upgraded our email service now to the point where it's not just Will doing Fortnite dances. I'm actually opening up to golf lessons. I'm selling like
Yeah,
hour-long
love that.
time slots.
Oh,
and,
The
That's
rates are
great.
competitive at $4,000 an hour, something light.
Win
Right.
around with Will and Nick. Oh, that could be a
Exactly.
fun
Will and Nick will pay you to play for. To play with them.
You just got to email us, please.
Yeah, there's anything seriously.
The
All right,
possibilities are endless. God, we are so
True.
desperate right now.
It's okay. It's okay. We can
This
end
is not
it
a good
because
look.
I don't have anything to add to that. I think it's
No,
getting
no
tough
final
out here.
words. That's it.
no more words. Nick had words yesterday. We used them all up. We got no words.
Yeah, you weren't here to give props to Neil Shipley for making the cut in Myrtle Beach. So
The one thing we didn't mention, actually, Kyle, is that your guy Jake Knapp is not playing in this event because he has withdrawn again, so that the great Tom Hoagie can grace Aronimink with his presence.
Yeah, that's I texted you guys this when I saw Napster at the Ducks game on Sunday night. I kind of had a feeling he might not be playing anymore, but that's okay. Ducks have another huge playoff game tonight, so maybe he made the trip to Vegas for this one too. They need him right now. We're trying to make it to the Western Conference Finals here, baby. More important things.
Nursing that thumb back to health.
Yeah,
With just holding a cold beer to keep it on ice at a Ducks game.
It's good rehab.
Yeah, I think the doctor advises that. Actually, that's what I've
Yeah.
been told.
Mine does.
Email us for more doctor tips like this. All right, we gotta stop.
All right.
I'm cutting it.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Really appreciate it, and we will see you on Friday.